Hello, all my beautiful people, my lovely people, my gorgeous people. Welcome back to your channel, Philosopher 777. And today, I bring you a mega news, ladies and gentlemen. The news is that he's leaving, he's leaving, he's leaving, he's leaving, he's leaving, he's leaving, he's leaving. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Pollo Carvajal is going to the United States to sing, to shout, to dance. Pollo Carvajal, ladies and gentlemen, the Strasbourg Tribunal has given the green light today to the Spanish government to extradite him to the United States for the case of drug trafficking. The former Venezuelan counterintelligence chief during Hugo Chávez's presidency, Hugo Armando Carvajal, known as Pollo Carvajal, will be extradited. The European judges who had requested Spain not to execute the extradition while examining Carvajal's request have just dismissed the arguments provided by the defense, which had even included the testimony of the former Venezuelan general, emphasizing that the United States represented a high risk to his life, as they could impose a life sentence without the possibility of parole. I mentioned to you in yesterday's information that negotiations were taking place at the tribunal with the United States. We don't know what convinced the judges, but they may have seen that a 20-year sentence is practically a life sentence. It is also clear to the character that if he testifies and behaves well regarding matters related to Maduro, which we hope he does, his sentence could be reduced. Well, because, as I said before, he's already crossing the pond, USA, on the other side of the crossing. And then he'll go to join Zambo de Sabanita before his time. So, I believe they reached a negotiation. The case is that the European Court of Human Rights is convinced and states the following in its ruling: "We are convinced that he will be judged in a judicial system that respects the preeminence of law and the principles of a fair trial, where he will have the full opportunity to organize his defense with a lawyer," said the European Tribunal. In other words, we don't believe your story, little chicken, go sing. Go sing in the United States. The other pond awaits you. Regarding the risk of an effective life sentence without the possibility of release, they insist that nothing is set in stone because, based on various circumstances, Pollo Carvajal doesn't have to end up with such a sentence. In other words, they've already discussed it. There's no need for such a sentence. If found guilty, certain mitigating circumstances could be considered, and he could eventually appeal the initial judicial decision. The European Court of Human Rights also noted that maximum sentences are very unusual in federal processes within the United States. They also mentioned that, to clarify matters, the U.S. Embassy in Spain sent a diplomatic note in November 2021 explaining that if an incomprehensible life sentence were imposed, he would not only have the option to appeal but also the possibility of requesting a presidential pardon. Notice that we are talking about forgiveness or the commutation of the sentence for fewer years or a less severe penalty. In other words, there is now the possibility of negotiating the sentence. The former Venezuelan counterintelligence chief had filed a complaint against Spain in Strasbourg after his amparo recourse before the Constitutional Court failed in October 2021, alleging that if he were sent to the United States, he would be exposed to a violation of the article of the European Convention on Human Rights that prohibits inhuman and degrading treatment. The jurisprudence exercised by the European Court of Human Rights on that article has established the principle that in the case of a life sentence, to avoid violating that right, the country applying it must consider the possibility of reducing the sentence, taking into account significant changes in the prisoner's life, such as progress in rehabilitation that make its maintenance between bars illegitimate. Pollo Carvajal is currently held in Extremura prison in the province of Madrid. He arrived in Spain in March 2019 with a fake identity and was arrested under an Interpol search warrant, as the United States has been pursuing him for years as responsible for acts of narcoterrorism and for introducing a huge quantity of tons of Neva sugar, which Diosdado and the Cartel de los Soles produce, into its territory. Prior to that, he had already been detained in July 2014 in Aruba, a territory of the Netherlands in the Caribbean, where he was the consul of Venezuela, under the same U.S. arrest warrant. Before, he was able to evade extradition based on diplomatic status, but was expelled in 2019 when he was a member of the National Assembly. He was also expelled from his country's army and accused of treason for recognizing Juan Guaidó as the interim president, who later became an opponent to Nicolas Maduro's regime, and that cost him the displeasure and annoyance of Nicolas Maduro. Now tell me, what do you think, my beautiful people? But things are looking good now. Now he's going to sing. Now I believe the orchestra will play. Alexa, the nurse, the bodyguard, and Puello Carvajal. Who will sing louder? Ah? Who will sing louder? What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Leave your comments in the comment section. What do you think? This makes me happy, even though they will try to appeal, as I told you before. They might try to delay this, but I don't think so. I believe the tribunal was emphatic in its decision. But I repeat, yesterday I shared with you the information that came directly from the tribunal, but I believe they will negotiate. I believe this is already negotiated. Talking will reduce your sentence. And furthermore, I repeat, the tribunal mentions in this sentence that they will reduce his sentence. They are talking about a presidential pardon. And when they mention the presidential pardon, it means it's already discussed. So, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, as always. A big rib-breaking hug to celebrate because Puello is leaving. Now, when will they move him? Let's see, because we thought he was going to leave on the plane with the nurse. Let's see when he goes. Stay tuned. Don't forget to visit autodidactasmillenarios.com, the place where you'll find the opportunity to grow financially at autodidactasmillenarios.com. If you were in Venezuela or Nicaragua, you should watch the video on the website before accessing the courses. If you are outside of Venezuela, like Nicaragua, you can directly access the courses without watching the video. The video is only for those who live in Venezuela, Cuba, or Nicaragua and are viewing the website from Venezuela, Cuba, or Nicaragua. I'm making this clarification because some people ask, but I tried to enter and I don't see the courses. I see the names, but when I want the information to start, the page says if you're in Venezuela, you must first watch this video. But sometimes people do things out of habit, and there are others who are outside the country, so they watch the entire video and then say, but I'm living in Colombia. Do I also need to download the VPN? Please, it's clear now. This video is only for those who live in Venezuela, Cuba, or Nicaragua. Well, I bid you farewell, a rib-breaking hug until next time.